go.
Dan Grider, October 6, 2024, probable cause. It's Sunday night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, our regularly scheduled Sunday evening get-together. Welcome. Thanks for jumping in here. If you're watching this as it unfolds, the live chat is now open. You can say hi. Check in on the live chat. That's always kind of interesting. And say hi and where you're checking in from. Thanks for participating and watching this. The little group here has grown pretty good over the last 2 years. I've been doing this just about 2.5 years. What I do is I collect all the information that I can during the week. It's a continuous process. I field emails and phone calls and things like that from people that forward me some information. This week I have a little bit of updating to do, a little bit more information I've got on a few other things, and we'll get right to that shortly. First of all, it is just after Hurricane Helene came through. I never had any idea the total devastation and destruction of what it did, especially in the Carolinas. I know Florida's kind of used to it being hard hit down there, but it's also a little bit flat down there, and they're also kind of used to it. A very difficult situation, and I very much appreciate General Aviation using their aircraft, their volunteers, their resources to help fly in. I saw hundreds and hundreds of airplanes on Facebook utilizing their volunteer efforts to fly in relief missions to these remote areas and try to help these people. And what a testament to the good people of aviation who volunteered their own time and aircraft to bring those supplies in. Very, very hard hit area. I think the death toll right now officially is 225, and I think it'll probably go to much, much higher than that when it's all said and done. Brace for impact. Bad news upon bad news. Florida next week, midweek, is bracing for yet another hurricane. Here's the graph for it. Looks like it's going to hit broadside under Florida around the Tampa area. We just don't know how strong it is. Our thoughts, prayers, wishes are with everyone involved and in harm's way. We hope that you make good decisions on whether to stay or whether to go. I know that's a very, very tough call to make in these type of situations. Hopefully we'll weather through this storm as well. And I know General Aviation is going to play a part in the recovery of all of that stuff down there. It's a tough season economically. It's a tough season politically. It's a tough season weather-wise. It's very tough. These are some tough times that we're going through right now. Anyway, it is the anniversary, October 1, of another tough time. Richard McSpadden died October 1, just a little over a year ago. The whole concept was the impossible turn, and the McSpadden accident really hit home for a lot of people. Still been a lot of talk and explanation and banter back and forth about the impossible turn. I feel for the McSpadden family. Any loss is a tough loss. Our condolences to the McSpadden family. I hope that we can all learn something from the flight path of that particular aircraft. And my only point is, if Richard McSpadden died in an aircraft with his level of experience attempting to turn around to make it back to the airport, what does that leave you and me? We are not Thunderbirds pilots, and we are not that great. I think my only answer is try not to consider the impossible turn unless it's obvious that you're going to make it. Think about going straight ahead. My mission is straight ahead. Pick out something a little left or a little right, put it in gear up or wheels down if you're in a fixed gear airplane, but put it someplace, full flaps, slowest speed possible, fly it into something and open the door and step out. The problem occurs when we attempt to turn around and we don't make it. It's very difficult to plan. It's very difficult to practice for the impossible turn. Conditions are different every time. Density, altitude, wind, headwind, crosswind, tailwind. Once you get turned around, all those things are variable. They call it the impossible turn for a reason. And our deepest respects and condolences to the McSpaddens on October 1, the anniversary of the Richard McSpadden fatal crash up in New York 1 year ago. I hope that we've made some progress on that. We got quite a bit of stuff to get to tonight here. I'm a little bit late in getting this video put together. I worked really hard all week to get this stuff assembled. If you'd like to help my efforts here, I certainly appreciate that. Don't go crazy. $1 or $2 helps a lot. Zelle, PayPal, Cash App, Venmo. If you'd like to help the DTSB and our nonprofit, that fund is going very, very good. Here's the page where you can send a check or contact the DTSB. We are a legal 501c3 nonprofit organization. The money can only be spent by board approval for board-approved projects and things like that. So your money is not only tax deductible, it's going to a great cause here. All right, buckle up, helmets on. Let's get into tonight's probable cause. I'll put this data on the screen. This is where we're at right now. Currently for the year 2024, we have 123 fatal accidents since January 1, 2024, which is down 130. I'll put it on the screen here. 138 as of the same day, October 6 in 2023. We had 138, so we're down about 15. Our current fatal accident rate is 13.398 fatals per month, which is down. 1 year ago right now, on October 6th, the same date, it was 15.044. So we're down about 1.6 fatal accidents per month spread over the previous 9 months. So we're down quite a bit. How will we end up 2024? Don't know yet. I'd like for us to be very careful. The things that are continuing to hurt us are stabilized approach, rejected takeoffs, min maneuvering speed, not flying DMMS, stalling in the traffic pattern, and messed up go-arounds. Those are our big, big killer items. Here's a video of a Lancer. This is a little bit old, but here's an angle that I hadn't seen before. This is the Lancer that came in too high, too hot. Turbine Lancer tried to get it shut down on this runway, and it did not work. Check this out.
Not good. Not good.
Even yet today down at Craig Field in Jacksonville, Florida, a citation 500 Juliet 500 Fox Zulu. A citation 560 landed on runway 14, 4,000 foot runway, landed high, fast, and long on a wet runway, went off the end. Here's a picture of it. I'm going to play the tape, and here's what the guy said. Yes, it's a 4,000 foot runway on a jet on a wet runway. He touched down a little bit fast, and he went all the way off the end. He said his brakes failed, but I want you to look at these tracks in the ground. This is tires that are digging into the dirt here. His brakes did not fail. Here's the ATC tape, kind of condensed. This is not in real time. Here's what was said, and here's when they asked him at the very, very end, here's what he said.
Yeah, good afternoon, Craig Tower. Good morning. Citation 500 Foxtrot Zulu's on the visual 14.
Citation 500 Foxtrot Zulu, Craig Tower, make straight and approach runway 14, cleared to land.
14, straight in, clear to land, 0 Fox Zulu.
Crew check 640, runway 5, clear for takeoff, make left close traffic, report midfield.
Left close, runway 5, clear for takeoff, clear track 640.
Crew check 640, cancel takeoff, clearance.
Cancel takeoff, clearance, clear track 640.
One-way, Jim, might go around left side.
Go around left side, is there, Mike?
0 Foxtrot Zulu, you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. Brakes went out.
Okay, copy.
You know, the final report is on the NTSB accident from down at, well, it's an incident down in Austin, Texas, where the Southwest jet was taking off. Meanwhile, a FedEx 767 was coming in. Now, if you think about this, it was very low conditions. NTSB did a report. Their final report is out on this. I got a couple things with this thing that I just don't understand. This controller cleared the Southwest for takeoff. He had no idea what the time situation was. This FedEx is on a 3-mile final, and yet the Southwest still has all this distance to go, and still, due to conditions, has to do an in-place static run-up for engine anti-ice to run his engines up to get the heat up to proper temperature before he can release the brakes. All this is not good. The NTSB keeps on going back to covering the controller by saying it was low vis and the controller couldn't see the jet and couldn't see the runway.
10 airplanes had taken off that morning before Southwest 708, but FedEx 1432 was the first arrival of the day. Arrivals and departures were cleared by a local controller in the tower. The tower is about 3,700 feet from the north end of runway 18 left. Night conditions prevailed and dense fog obscured the view of the airport surface. so the controllers could not see the airplanes on the taxiways or runways. Also, the airport does not have surface detection equipment that could show the positions of airplanes on the taxiways or runways on a display.
Well, all that's true, but all you got to do is listen to the radio and recognize 3 mile final. That's not very far out. The jet is going to take a long time to round the corner and get set. Error on the side of caution, and the controller didn't do it. Here's the probable cause. I'm going to read it to you. This is direct from the NTSB. I'll put it on the screen. NTSB determines the probable cause of this incident to be the local controller's incorrect assumption that Southwest Airlines airplane would depart from the runway before a Federal Express airplane arrived on the same runway, which resulted in a loss of separation between both airplanes. Contributing to the controller's incorrect assumption were his expectation bias regarding the Southwest airplane's departure, his lack of situational awareness regarding Southwest Airlines airplane's position when the flight crew requested takeoff clearance, and the air traffic controller's lack of training before the incident, that is. I'm sure he's been trained now on low-vis operations. Contributing to the accident was Southwest Airlines flight crew members' failure to account for the traffic that was on short final and to notify the controllers that they would need additional time on the runway before takeoff roll. Well, that's not really the job of Southwest Airlines to tell you how much time you're going to need. They give you clear for takeoff. You're going to get clear for takeoff. This truly is one of those things where I believe this controller was 100% in error and asleep on the wheel. There were 2 controllers up there in the cab. What was truly going on in the cab? You know, they pulled the flight data recorder, the cockpit voice recorder. The cockpit voice recorders got mysteriously written over, so they didn't get all that. All they got was the tower tape. Why don't we have an area mic up there in the control tower? Wouldn't it be interesting to know what was going on, what was said, who was talking to who? This controller only had one job. He's got one runway and one job. He's not the ground controller, he's the local controller. He had one job, to be situationally aware of what's going on, and he did not do it. He had one job, and he messed it up. What was going on? We don't know, and we'll never know, because there is not a cockpit area mic in any tower control cabin. I think there ought to be. Probably ought to be video and audio, so you can go back and grab that 30 minutes and go back and analyze what was going on. Was anybody on their phones? In this particular case, I don't think there was anybody on their phones, but was there any other distractions going on in the tower cab? Distractions in the cockpit are a huge deal. Distractions in the tower cab or distractions in the radio room are a big, big deal. Currently, it's all on the pilot. Our government wants to blame the pilot 100% of the time. Is it possible that ATC, your local controller, could have been distracted or looking away or not doing his job? Is it possible in this particular case? I think that is the case. I think for whatever reason, this local controller was absolutely asleep at the wheel, did not realize the situation that was unfolding in front of him, and was absolutely unprepared to handle what was unfolded in front of him. At Southwest Airlines and FedEx, you can read the report. The final NTSB report is out on that one. Fortunately, nobody got killed, nobody got hurt, and the 2 airplanes did not touch, but they came within 270 feet of each other, which is pretty close.
Tower confirm, FedEx 1432 Heavy, clear to land on the 18 left.
FedEx 1432 Heavy, that is affirmative. When they left you out, clear to land, traffic departing class, route to 737.
Roger.
Southwest Airlines confirm on the road.
Rolling now. Southwest aboard. FedEx is on the go.
You know, I'm still in a wheelchair, but on October 12th, which is Thursday this week, I believe, I go back to the doctor, get another x-ray to see if I can get out of this wheelchair and start walking. I think that I'll be able to walk. Here's a little bit of skydiving video from a skydive that I made just before this accident. Notice I'm jumping out of the airplane. No helmet, no goggles, no altimeter, and no AAD. Doing it old school, I don't really recommend doing that, but for a hop and pop from $4 grand, it's actually pretty easy. Here's me jumping out of the airplane. I sure would like to go back and resume some skydiving here eventually when I get this leg all good, but it's going to take a little bit of time. I got some DB Cooper stuff coming up. I want you to watch for this. DB Cooper Part 3. Now, originally, I've already done DB Cooper Part 1 and Part 2. I know some of you are not interested in DB Cooper stories. The DB Cooper is the only unsolved hijacking in America. DB Cooper Part 3, on my behalf, is going to be coming out. I'm actually going to do a Part 3 and a Part 4. I wasn't intending to do anything past Part 3. You'll see the circumstances and what specifically has happened in the last 12 months that you're not going to believe. I'm going to put that in the DB Cooper Part 3 video that's due to come out. You guys that are subscribers and set your alerts, watch for that. That's not going to come out on Sunday night. That's a standalone. DB Cooper Part 3. Part 1 and Part 2 are already done, and they're up there, and they're staying up there. DB Cooper Part 3. I'm going to give you just a little bit of a snippet here. Here's me at Tina Bar. Tina Bar. We're about to go down to the beach. This is where the money was found, right down here in 1980. Brian Ingram. It's been a long time since I've been here, more than 10 years, but it's time to go back and take one more look at the close of this chapter of the DB Cooper story. This is Tina Bar. Let's walk down and take a look. And also, here's me at Richmond, Virginia. Thursday, September 7, 2023. I just came out of this door right here. I just met. So that's just a teaser for it. I'll show you the whole thing. I'm going to give you the whole story. Coming up in the very near future, it's going to be a good one. Watch for DB Cooper Part 3. Real quick before we get to the accidents, and I am going to get to the accidents. I got them all printed out here, ready to go. Next Saturday night down in Craig, that's Jacksonville, Florida, the same place where that citation just had its little runway excursion. I'll be down in Craig with my guitar and banjo. I'm planning on having a banjo excursion. Come see us. Here's the RSVP. This is at Holiday Aviation on Saturday night, October 12th. They got food, they got everything. We'll have entertainment. I got Jennifer Hamady from NTSB is going to come in and sing karaoke with us. I do believe I've invited her. I'm not sure. Okay, I'm not sure if she's really going to be there or not. I'll go ahead and put that out there, but I have invited her, and I sure hope that she comes down. She is an excellent karaoke singer, and I'm looking forward to that. Come and see us at Holiday Aviation. Whatever happens, happens. I'm returning to my schedule of getting out and speaking a little bit. My schedule is already starting to fill up a little bit. Right after that, October 19th, the next Saturday, I'll be in Nashville, Tennessee. I'll give you a little bit better information on that next weekend on what that deal is going to be. I'll be in Nashville, Tennessee. And then here's a special one. I'll be in L.A., not actually L.A., Orange County, on October 25. That's going to be a Friday night in Orange County. This is going to be at the Chicken Co-op. Here's a picture of it. This is a famous restaurant out there. We'll be out there for dinner. Nothing formal, no speaking, no sound system, and no guitars out here. But this is where we're going to be Friday night, October 25, 7 p.m. California time. Orange County is just a little bit south of LA. This Chicken Co-op, I believe what they do is they cooperate with the chickens, and they have a deal worked out with the meat, eggs, and cheese that gets produced off of chickens. That's why they call it a Chicken Co-op. I would not have named it a Chicken Co-op if I were them, but it's apparently a great place to eat. The Chicken Co-op, here's a picture of it. Here's where we're going to be. Come and see us. There's no RSVP, no anything. If you want to come and see us, Friday night, October 25th in Orange County at the Chicken Co-op. Come and see us. It's going to be a lot of fun. You know, I mentioned last week that Dylan's little airplane got 2 new cylinders and was needed a test flight, so he did that. Everything's good. Here's a little bit of video snippet from Dylan's test flight. I'm not going to show you the whole thing, but all worked fine. Everything's good. He's got about 10 or 12 hours on that engine and those break-in cylinders. It's all gone good. I'm very, very happy with that, so he's going to resume time building and flying in his little Cherokee. Here's Dylan's video, and listen to his brief. He's getting ready to go.
All right, we're doing a test flight today. We got 2 new cylinders on the Cherokee 140, and so we're holding short of runway 14 right now. And I've already completed my before text checklist and my run-up checklist and my before takeoff checklist, but I'm going to go through a couple things that I'm going to look at and go over before we do this test flight. So we've gone through the before takeoff checklist, and then we got our RTO brief, which is our rejected takeoff brief. So if we don't have 60 miles per hour and we're not producing at least 2,300 RPM by 50% of the runway, we are going to close the throttle and abort the takeoff. We got something that's not quite right if that's the case. Lost of thrust on takeoff brief. If we lose an engine on takeoff, if we're on the ground or just barely off the ground, we're going to close the throttle and just set it right back down. If we're already in the climb and we're up to about 200 feet or so, we lose an engine, we're going to land it straight ahead. We're kind of in an urban area off of runway 14 here, so we don't have a whole lot besides treetops and streets. So we'll just have to pick something that's most suitable, possibly a street. Worst case, we'll just put it nice and easy at 55 miles an hour onto the treetops and just hold that nose up and let it land into the tops of the trees and let the trees carry us to the ground. That's worst case. If we have close to 1,000 feet and we're still within about a mile of the airport, I can think about maybe turning around since we're in a kind of an urban environment. So that's our loss of thrust on takeoff brief. So our first plan is to go straight ahead. If we have enough altitude, we might turn around. And our reduction of thrust on takeoff, if we have a reduction in thrust, we're only producing 1,500 RPM or something like that. We're going to continue straight ahead. We're going to get best glide, and then we are going to initially think straight ahead. If we got enough altitude, we can turn it around safely and slowly. But we're thinking nothing more than 30 degrees bank and nothing less than DMS. If we can't make it back to the airport in those guidelines, then we're not going to do it. So that's our row top brief, our low top brief, and our RTO brief. Our gross weight is about 60% here. We got less than full tanks and just one person on board, so gross weight's not a issue. Density altitude is about 2,500 feet. Not a big problem there. Fuel on board, we got 4 hours plus reserves. And our hot items are mixture rich, landing light on, fuel pump on, final clear, and our final is clear, and park and brake off.
Also on Saturday, we're a little flying up in Georgia and ran into a buddy of mine. We ended up flying in his Seneca a little bit out there. I installed a DMS sticker on his airspeed indicator. We did a little bit of AQP training, a little bit of stuff, had a lot of fun. This is my buddy that has the Seneca up there, and this is us in flight. Here's what he thinks about AQP and DMMS.
I'm in my Piper Twin. I fly AQP and always DMMS.
All right, I'm going to get to the September data. Here it is. I'm going to put it on your screen. But the main thing I want to go back and take a look at is this Globe Swift crash from September 16th, November 78074. It collided with the Cessna 206. Don Bartholomew out there. I made that graphic and I put it on the screen. I'm going to show it to you here right now. This is what I suspected might have been the problem. Come to find out, they contacted me from out there. A bunch of nice people sent emails and sent diagrams and sent supporting data. I know the NTSB preliminary is out there, and now we know Don Bartholomew was well aware of the descending teardrop into the downwind. He hated it. He was opposed to it. He would never do it. Yes, it is a problem for some people at some airports. Don Bartholomew, turns out, was not a candidate for that. He came in from the west. The guy I saw him making a right-hand turn was north of the airport and saw him in a slight right-hand turn. We still don't know exactly how this happened, but the interesting thing that I've found out, come to study it a little bit further, the 206 did either a touch and go or a low pass or something, but he had announced that he was landing. He never made another transmission. He never said he was going around. He never said he was on the upwind. He never said he was turning crosswind. So Don, in the Globe, the only radio chatter he would have heard was the fact that he was landing. He assumed that he was down and clear and there was nobody else out there. Don made a position report entering the downwind, but he was at traffic pattern altitude. The Cessna 206 was on left crosswind and climbing, turning onto the downwind, climbing full power and nose up. He's in a high wing airplane, climbing and turning. He flew into the tail of the Swift, who was probably just ahead. At this point, that's the only thing that I can think of that possibly could have happened. It kind of looks like the propeller of the 206 ate up the Swift from the back. I believe that's probably, at this point, my best guess. I'll be glad to take your further guesses on this thing, but due to the propeller marks, the way the thing happened, and he chopped the tail off this thing, it looks like the high wing airplane could not see above, and the Swift with the low wing could not see below. There was no communication. The 206 went to make some communication once they heard Don make his call that he was entering the downwind. Then everybody got excited. My point is, communication should have occurred a lot sooner. You can get on the radio and say, hey, any traffic in the area, please advise, which is not one of the things the FAA wants you to say, but you could say, hey, anybody else out here, I'm in the traffic pattern. I'm 3 east, I'm entering the traffic pattern. You could say, I'm on the crosswind. Anybody else in the traffic pattern? Initiate communication. If they would have communicated, if each airplane was aware at least that there was another airplane out there, Don would be alive today. It's a failure to communicate on both people's parts. I give Don quite a bit of credit because he was listening and making position reports. He wrongly assumed that nobody else was out there simply because he heard the 206 on final and thought that they were down and clear. Had no idea that they had gone around and that they were doing another traffic pattern, which is a contributing factor towards this. Our deepest respects to Don. From everything I've heard and all the people that have contacted me, Don was one stellar, genius individual that helped everybody. Really good with airplanes, really good with that Swift, really good with everything. And I am sorry that I put that graphic up there. I didn't mean to accuse him of doing a teardrop into the downwind. I simply said that could be one of the things that I'm seeing out there. If he was doing a teardrop, what the young kids today call teardropping into the downwind, which is a right descending turn into the left downwind, which makes no sense to me. If that's what had happened, that would have explained one method of doing that. However, in this particular case, I don't think that's what Don was doing because he hated that with everybody else. Don had already discussed this with his buddies. He's watched this stuff. He knows what the phenomena is. He was not a candidate for teardropping onto the downwind, and I think it's totally good. Let's go on and take a look at the next one. That explains the Swift out there. The air show one, Daryl Whitaker, age 51. We've already talked about that. That's the one up in Tennessee. The trike, Wes Fry. I finally found out he was 74 years old, and this is a failed pre-flight. He did not get his trike properly bolted together, and this is a structural failure in flight due to pre-flight. It was not properly bolted together, and it failed in flight. 2 people died on that crash. Our respects to both parties. I don't have the name of the other individual that died in Wes Fry's trike out there. This is in Florida, and that accident happened on the 25th of September. And then the 2 of them that I really want to talk about, this is the ones that are preventable. The 2 SR-222 crashes, one in Utah, Michael Cox, 43, simply stalled it on the right downwind to base, let the airplane get slow and stalled it and spun it into the water. They did get a parachute out. It's a Cirrus. They did get a parachute out, just not near in time. The Cirrus parachute is not designed to work low altitude, and it did not work. All it did was come out, but it definitely did not help them any at all, and that was the end of that. The other one, 5 people in this Cirrus SR-22 at Kitty Hawk, Kill Devil Hills. They made 2 approaches in here. Both of them ended up in go-rounds. I still believe this was a second attempt to land and a second go-around. Had 5 people in it, the youngest age 6. There's not 6 seatbelts in that airplane. A lot of problems with the story and the setup on this SR-22, but totally preventable. I believe this was a full power, high torque, go-around, stall spin, and that's where that airplane ended up. You have to lower the nose, push that stick forward, full power, lower the nose, and commit to going level, getting some speed. Don't touch the flaps. Get this thing under control before this nose even thinks about coming up. That's your go-around procedure. Let's go ahead and take a look at October. This is the October sheet. I'll put the first one up here on the screen here for you. This is November 5868 Sierra, the BE-55 Florida. I don't have a name or any further information on this yet. Definitely ended up in a fireball short of the runway. The next one is November 19252. This is a J2 Cub up in Oregon. This is a messed up go-around, and I'm going to read you what they wrote about this thing here. This is in the newspaper. Stephen Kressinger, 65, was the pilot, sole occupant of the single-engine 1940 model Piper Cub plane. Let's read on down here. It says, after running out of runway in the first attempt, the pilot circled around and attempted the landing again. According to witnesses, a press release from Sheriff's Office said the plane bounced off the ground, was launched back into the air, and hit the top of a tree with the propeller before taking a nosedive into the ground. Well, this sounds like a botched landing and a go-around and a messed up go-around. probably too late in the landing sequence to give it full power and to clear the trees. Don't know yet, but this individual, his name was Stephen Kretzinger, age 65, and he did not survive that out in Oregon. The next one is in Alaska. Paul Spiro, 70 years old, up in Alaska. This is a float plane. Looks like an amphib, I believe, so far. Still could be wrong on that. Too early to tell. The pilot died. His wife got free of the wreckage, and she swam to shore. She's going to be okay. I think this is a gear down in water landing, and it flipped over is what it looks like so far. Won't know till next week, but the early text, email, inside information is that's the best guess so far. I think the airplane ended up upside down in the water with the wheels sticking up, which is always a big clue. Let's take a look at the very last one on here. That is the Fokker. Just happened up in New York on takeoff. Brian Coughlin, 60 years old. This is a super rare replica airplane, November 94100. This is at Old Rhinebeck Airport. They got a lot of really cool stuff, an air show and all that kind of stuff. They do a once a week air show at Rhinebeck, Old Rhinebeck. This is a replica airplane, a replica Fokker early airplane. I don't know what year it was built or how much it's replicating or what it's replicating. I don't know very much about this. I know it did happen on takeoff, ended up at the south end of the field, and it burnt. So no idea yet. This just happened, so way early in the information process. Remember, we still got 3 months to go to finish out 2024. It's amazing that 2024 is 9 months done, and now all we got is October, November, December to go to finish this thing up. Are we going to end up better than 2023? I think we are, but we have to really work hard and pay attention out there, do a good pre-flight, carry enough gas, mark your airspeed indicator, DMMS, be able to fly a VREF, a red over white VREF. You know, almost every single pilot I fly with, I ask him to show me a stabilized approach, red over white on VREF, VREF to VREF plus 5 all the way in and touch the white boxes. Rarely do I ever see anybody that can actually do it. Why don't you go out and try it and you show me, in fact, send me a video if you can do it. Show me you can fly red over white on VREF all the way in, fully configured and checklist complete. That's the objective. Do you have to do it that way every time? No, you do not. That's a good trick to have in your bag of tricks to be able to do that when you need to. All right, I'm going to get out of here. It's Sunday night, and I'm apologize. This video's gone on a little bit longer than what I wanted it to, but we're going to get caught up. I got a whole bunch of stuff I got to get done this week. Coming up, October 12th, Thursday, is a big day for me. I'm hoping if you got any positive vibes to send my way on this x-ray. I need to get out of this wheelchair and off these crutches. I feel fine. I'm not on drugs. I'm in zero pain. I just can't move or fly or do all the things that I want to do on a regular basis here. So it would sure help if I got a green light from the surgeon on this leg here, and I'll let you know next Sunday night. So keep your positive vibes going. Let me know where you're checking in from here. Have a good night, and thanks for checking in from my tiny little itty-bitty fledgling YouTube channel, Dan Grider. Probable cause.